Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Music Den. I'm your host Armando Venditti. Hope you guys are having a fantastic afternoon. Here in Edmonton, it is 12 degrees Celsius, cold, rainy. Yesterday, there was a hailstorm going on. The weather's been all over the map. So wherever you guys are, I hope you guys are warm if it's and dry if it's raining. If it's hot and steamy, I hope you guys are keeping cool. And I hope you guys are looking after yourselves and one another. In this episode of the Music Den, I'm going to be doing another In the Spotlight segment. Now, with this artist, I decided to do and we'll do a top 5 album ranking. But there's one album from them I wanted to include. And after listening to it, I wanted to do a solo segment of In the Spotlight for this album. The artist is Joni Mitchell, and the album is Chalk Mark in a Rainstorm. Now, Joni Mitchell, born in Fort Macleod, Alberta, as you all know, legendary folk jazz fusion artist. I wouldn't say she's heavy rock, but she started more out in the folk music scene and gained massive popularity in the US and in Canada, released a string of albums through the 70s, 80s, 90s, has retired, I believe, as recently as the 2000s. She has a new live album out that's come out a couple of months ago. This album, Chalk Mark in a Rainstorm, came out in 1988, released on Geffen Records. And also, I should mention, she has been signed to 3 different major labels. She was originally signed to Reprise Records, and she signed to Asylum Records, and then to Geffen Records. Chalk Mark and Rainstorm, again, released in 1988, released on Geffen Records. 10-track album, produced by Joni Mitchell and Larry Klein, who also on this album serves as playing bass, among other instruments. This album, upon listening to it, and I do have it in my collection in the basement, and I gave it a cursory listen to when I first got it, but I really didn't pay too much attention to it, and I believe I should have. This album is an eclectic work. I mean, it's basically there's folk influences, there's jazz influences. It's considered an experimental album, and she has a host of people on the album, guest musicians and vocalists with her. This album, for me, is quite simply put, spectacular. It's got to be said. The album originally was the original recording started out in Peter Gabriel's studio. Joni Mitchell and Larry Klein were looking for studios to record this album, and they got in touch with Gabriel, and because they were signed to the same label at the time, and he invited them to come to his studio. So the initial recording sessions began in his studio, and he thereafter provided vocals on one of the tracks on the album, which is one of my favorite tracks on the album. So I will go through the listing with you. The album starts off with My Secret Place, which was released as a single, featuring Peter Gabriel on co-lead vocals. The video itself was featured quite prominently in Canada on Much Music and also in the US on MTV, VH1. The video is shot in black and white. It's a very grainy type of video, like footage that was used. Directed by Anton Corbijn, photographer, famous photographer. The song for me is a fantastic, haunting piece of writing. And it's talking about a relationship at its beginnings, just two people getting to know one another and opening themselves up emotionally to one another, showing each other what they can offer to the relationship. Peter Gabriel, to me, delivers a fantastic, haunting, ethereal vocal on the overdubs, on the ad-libs at the end, and just throughout the entire track, really. And there isn't a lot of space on this track. Obviously there's a lot of production and there's a lot of overdubs and textures, guitar textures and keyboard textures. But for me, the sound of the production sounds very sparse and very open. There's a lot of breadth and scope to it. And again, I've said before, the trick is when you have a multi-layered production, and that's thick with textures and parts. The trick is to make it sound very effortless and very open and sparse. And in this track, they do. And also, what Joni Mitchell also offers a fantastic vocal delivery as well. But I must continue here. Track 2 is a track called Number One. And it's basically a song talking about one's attempt to always strive. These are in my notes. One's attempt to always strive to get to the next level of acceptance and importance. And also, basically, it's saying, be careful what you wish for because it might come true. And what you think is important to you and what you think that you want to achieve is the ultimate. It isn't all what it's cracked up to be. The last sorry, I misread it here. The next track of note for me is Tea Leaf Prophecy, which features on background vocals Lisa Coleman and Wendy Melvoin of The Revolution, who would go on to, at this point, they were out of The Revolution and they were doing their own recordings, their own albums, to moderate success. It's got to be said. But Lisa and Wendy would go on to do scores for films and for television, and they would also release albums sporadically. This track is based on Joni Mitchell's parents meeting during World War II and how they got together and the story of their relationship, and it's beautiful. I mean, Joni Mitchell in her recordings, and it's got to be said, I mean, for all of her recordings, she plays such beautiful chord structures, on guitar, on acoustic guitar, and her lyrics really don't go from A to B to C to D. They go from like A to G, K to B. They're all over the place. There is not one track that she has written that is linear, and that it goes in a straight line. It's always all over the map. And I love that about her work. I mean, I think it's fantastic. And these tracks on Chalkmark and Rainstorm are no different whatsoever. They're beautiful. Track 5 of note, next track, Dancing Clown, which features an odd combination of vocalists and contributors musically. You have Steve Stevens on lead guitar, and you also have Billy Idol contributing vocals, and Tom Petty, of all people. And Joni Mitchell had said that she had seen Billy Idol performing at, I believe it was one of the Grammy Awards at the time, and that year. And she said that his style of vocal delivery, the snarling and the growling and the over the top sort of delivery that he has, that this was what the track needed. And basically it talks about someone that can be easily manipulated to be that can be easily manipulated to act foolishly in front of people, and so henceforth the track the name Dancing Clown. The next track, side 2, starts off with Cool Water, and it's a beautiful gorgeous atmospheric image. In my notes I put it's a mid-tempo track, and it's very atmospheric, very sort of image driven. And when I hear it, when I hear Cool Water, I kind of think of like a waterfall scene, kind of like you're standing in a near a waterfall, and you're just watching the way the water going over the edge, and you're just sort of surrounded by the sounds of the water hitting the rocks, of a waterfall. And it features Willie Nelson on guest vocals, and the track is basically how we are polluting our water, in the environment. The next track I've noticed, track number 7, the Beat of Black Wings. It tells the story of a vet dealing with life after his experiences in the war. That the name of the character is Killer Kelly, and how he still hears in his head the sound of the chopper, the propellers of the choppers in the war, and it features on background vocals Benjamin Orr, bassist and vocalist for the Cars. Beautiful imagery in this track. The next track of note is Snakes and Ladders, featuring Don Henley. He is featured on 2 tracks. He's featured on Snakes and Ladders and track 3 called Lakota. And Lakota, I should backtrack a little bit. Lakota talks about, the lives and the rights and the tribulations of the indigenous people in America and in Canada as well, and how they've been mistreated, which they have been. I mean, you can't get around that lately, because there's been a lot of stories in the news of the residential schools in Canada, and how children who were basically taken from their families by the Catholic Church and placed, children of indigenous ethnicity, how they were taken away from their families by the Catholic Church and placed in these schools, and they never returned home. Their bodies are now being found in graves around Canada. So I mean, this track, when I heard it yesterday, also Lakota, it really hit home for me. Like it was haunting for me. And but getting back to this Snakes and Ladders, the track talks about social climbing individuals who basically have to be careful of the pitfalls of being in high society, and what happens to them when they're not careful, basically. And Don Henley also provides vocals on this track. The last track on the album, A Bird That Whistles, Karina Karina is a traditional track featuring Wayne Shorter on sax. You know, the great Wayne Shorter who worked with, who was recently passed away, who had worked with Miles Davis, among others, uh, also with Herbie Hancock. Also features fantastic bass work by Larry Klein. It's got to be said. This album achieved gold status in Canada. And it was popular. It was popular. I just wanted to feature this album because I thought that it deserved discussion on, right? And I just think with these 10 tracks, you have a fantastic eclectic mix of music. And yes, there is 80s production on it, with drum machines, etc. But I don't believe that this album suffers from the curse of 80s production. I don't think that that the, that, how can I put this? I don't believe that it's used heavy-handedly on these tracks in terms of the drum machines and stuff. I think there's a good balance of acoustic instruments and programmed instruments. So I think you have a good mix here, and I think that this album needs to be talked about a lot more. And spoiler alert: I'm going to be doing a top 5 Joni Mitchell album ranking coming up soon, and hopefully you'll like that as well. So yeah, that's the album, Chalk Mark and Rainstorm. I've listened to it quite a few times now, and I think it is well known and it is well regarded, and I rightfully so. I think it's a fantastic piece of work. I think it's a great album. I think that Joni Mitchell at that point was able to get together a fantastic blend of artists from different genres, and they all came together to and they wanted to be on this project. They probably practically knocked down her door to be on the project, and I think she combined all these musical elements and production beautifully. So please check out this album. You can stream it online. It is very cheap to get on Amazon. It's like $12.99, and it's still available in circulation. It has not been discontinued by Geffen. So yeah, please check it out. And down below, down there, let me know what you think of Chalk Mark and Rainstorm. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Do you like Joni Mitchell as an artist? Which years do you like? Do you like her Reprise years? Do you like her Asylum years? Do you like her Geffen years? It's unfortunate that at one point the reason why she retired was because she thought that the music business has basically gone to hell in a handbasket, and that she didn't feel that she could carry on because of the way the music business had turned out to be. So I mean, she has officially retired, but I mean, up to releasing the latest live album that came out in May, and please check that out as well. So for now, I will bid you a good afternoon. Hopefully you guys are having a great weekend. And if you're in Canada or in the US, have a fantastic holiday, because I know it's a long weekend. It's a long weekend for me. It's a long weekend for people in the US. So please check out this video, and hopefully you like this video, and check out Joni Mitchell on YouTube, and let me know what you think. And click like and subscribe, and hit the notification bell for any new content that I've got coming up. Yeah, that's it for now. So take care of yourselves and each other, and I will see you very soon. Bye for now.